All right, guys, what we're doing today is we're not really doing anything with Colts. So if you're looking for the engraving videos I usually do, not today. We've got to work on this ring. So I'm casting out a diamond ring. This is for my wife. I owe her this ring. And I have been fighting with my 3D printer for the last month, trying to figure out why it wasn't working. I think we finally figured it out for the most part. Now I've got to go back in on this 3D print and essentially clip out all the supports. So I am not good enough at jeweling yet to feel comfortable just make this by hand fully. I cast stuff out. Mitchell Bird, I've got the Anycubic Mono X2. And to be honest, like, it worked pretty good there for a while. And I don't know what happened, but I was fighting with it for a while. So, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I figured it out. I think it was just the resin. I think it was old. Just trying to break these supports without breaking the actual ring. Half my battle sometimes. I made a few copies of it, so it should be fine, but so once we've got this set up, you've got to get some sort of casting material. So I've got, I need to remember what it's called. I mean, if you want to go really cheap, you can do like, what's that white powder called? Man, I'm having a brain fart this morning. Basically, we've got to cast it out. This is why I put this big portion right here, is because this has to stay outside of the cast itself in order to pour your metal through here. So it'll pour through here, whether it be by gravity or vacuum, and it get it up in here. So yeah, you've got to have like a crucible to be able to melt your metals down. Okay. I'll use the Anycubic Mono X2. So the print failed for the most part up here, but let me show you what I've got going. Why I don't think it's that big of a deal right now. All right, found it. Sorry, had to find the diamond. So we're gonna do a diamond ring. This is a pretty big rock, to be honest. So what'll end up happening is we can do it prior. We can do it prior to casting it out, or I can do it now and basically open it up, get the diamond fit in there, and then once the metal's poured, then we can just basically clamp it in. Now, we've got some work to do because I've got to basically hone out the middle. Hone out the middle a little bit. And then you create your locking teeth on the edge. And then we'll have pretty good diamond. I've got small 1.5 millimeter diamonds that actually go in there. And then after we're done essentially putting the diamonds in there, then we go in with the, it's called a fishtail setting or a fishtail cut. And we'll fishtail cut it out by hand in order to make it really, really shine. This is all going to be in rose gold. So yeah. And I think this is like I can't remember if it's a 1.5 or a 2 carat diamond. Whatever it is. I mean, I don't have the biggest hands by any means, but that's what it'll look like basically. Yeah, I can't, actually, I think I have it right here. Nope, that's actually a 1.5 carat. It's a 1.5 carat diamond on that one. So, I mean, 2 carats is huge, but yeah, it's a 1.5 carat diamond. Still pretty big. This is a lab grown diamond. So yeah. All right. Let me keep going. Get this out of the way and done. I've got to get a couple other prints like this cleaned up because I want to have some backups in case I screw one up. This looks like it came out pretty good. Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, like sometimes I like to make these and then I actually use lost wax to essentially recast it out through silicone, like silicone, just because this sometimes doesn't burn out as good. I have a casting resin that's supposed to be like really good for burning out. The problem being that casting resin that's burning out, it's like really soft and it ends up failing in my printer multiple times. So I found that it's easier sometimes to just make it out of actual resin. Sometimes it can burn out pretty good. This one might actually burn out pretty good because there's not a ton of small crevices. And then yeah, it'll burn. It should burn out, but if we really want to feel froggy, we can just make it out of cast resin or cast wax. I've got to get this cut. All right, let me go under the microscope. Sometimes it's easier to go into the microscope and just cut these out so you can actually see where the supports are holding on to. Again, we can clean up the metal with a metal file once we're cast out and clean it up pretty good. Right now I'm just looking for like a lot of the imperfections. Let's see. Grab some files. Resin I'm using, guys, is just the Creality one. It turned kind of dark on me. If you notice, it went like after I put it in the UV lamp, it got all sorts of yellow. So, I mean, I'm not using it for anything that requires it to be out in the sun, but if I was, that would not be the resin I'd want then. Let's use this. The reason I'm doing it now, if I can, as far as like the filing of stuff, is because, well, resin's a lot softer than gold or silver or anything you're casting out, really. Cleaning it up a little bit. Okay. Cut that set. Let me clean this one up as well. Really, we've got to clean this up just so we're not fighting with it later on once we're casting it, because that's more of a pain. Dealing with the metal portion is going to be more work than it is with resin. All I'm really worried about with resin right now is just how fragile it can be. And this resin is actually decently strong once it's cast, or once it's fully cured. I have some stuff that's casting resin that does not. It's very brittle, almost very, very brittle. Moss agate. I don't know anything about moss agate, I'll be honest. Zero idea. I don't think I've ever heard of it. I've heard of agate, but never of moss agate. If you guys are just swinging through, please feel free to subscribe. Really appreciate it. If you guys don't know, this is usually not what I do. This is kind of a different project for me. I deal with a lot of hand engraving. All right, I'm going to try something because I've got to make sure that it actually is going to work or not. We've got to set a. Let me see if I can get this to focus right. We've got to set a small diamond in there and make sure that it's actually going to fit, because I got it with, I measured it out on my design for a 1.5 millimeter diamond. And so we'll see if it actually fits or not. 1.5 millimeters. That's actually where I get kind of nervous. I always end up losing a diamond or two. All right. In fact, before we do that, Hmm. All right, let's hope I don't lose another diamond here. I've lost a plethora of tiny diamonds in my shop. Scattered all over, I'm sure, and probably in the vacuum. Okay, I've got my diamond. Some oil. Perfecto. Awesome. Perfect sizing. I'm not even going to mess with it because once we cast it, we're going to have to clean it up. It might open it up a little bit. But we can actually get it to hold. And then we fishtail cut it in and we should be good to go. So looks like it'll fit in there just fine, which is exactly what we want. Grab that diamond again. More oil. Yeah, it's not grabbing on. Okay, we're gonna have to use the tweezers. Tweezers are my favorite to use because that's how I usually lose my diamonds. Heidi Miller, that is actually a really good idea. That I've never thought about, actually. Wow. Learned something new today, actually. That's a great idea. Good tip. Thank you. Yeah, never thought of that one. That's a new very good thing to use, actually. Appreciate the tip. Okay. All right, we need to open it up now. So I'm gonna grab some of my bits to open her up, to get opened up for the main diamond. So I've got to open up the bottom. Yeah, we'll open up the bottom a little bit. Make sure that my air filter's on so I don't breathe in all that epoxy dust. All right, we've got to switch up tips. That tip is too big at this point, so we've got to go with a smaller one. Electric air tools, both. I use pneumatic hammers for hand engraving. So all like the scroll work and stuff, you want air tools. But all the rotary stuff that you need, like this stuff, yeah, definitely electric, I would say. Joe Stone, man, in the industry, I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. I do this kind of as a hobby on the side. I can teach you some of the basics, but I'm not. I am not anything great by any means. So take everything that I do with a grain of salt. There's a lot of errors and mistakes that I make. I'm willing to admit that. Definitely want it in deeper and closer. So we got to keep on digging. Like I said, a lot of my stuff is trial and error. Trial and error. I have failed multiple times. In fact, this ring was supposed to be done a while back. We'll say a few years back. Let's just say my wife really has kind of been waiting on this one for a while. And of course, I decide, a day or two before Christmas to try to finish it for her. So we'll see if this even happens. No, just because I run this as a hobby, yes. It is under a business, don't get me wrong. But a lot of it is just me wanting to learn. And so I haven't quite recouped any of my expenses by any means, no. But my hope is that one day my channel will do well enough that, I can recoup some of my loss. But I don't see it as a loss. I'm learning a lot. I'm having fun. It is what it is. Changing tips. Here we go. I'm going to make the mold and pour it out of, I'm using rose gold. All right, let's see where this diamond lands right now. Got to set it in further. So I am going to take a big old, you're going to see a But yeah, if you guys are talking about like recouping in money, I make a pretty good amount on, or I was making enough that I was okay with hand engraving, like pew pews and stuff. But I found no joy in it, so that's why I just turned it into a hobby more so than a business. Because doing other people's work, doing my own work, loved it. I love it. So most of my lives, you guys will see, I'm usually doing slides or grips or something of that manner. Joe Stone, yeah, definitely do filigree. I mean, check out Sam Alfano. His stuff is great. The Art of Engraving of the book is awesome. Honestly, and if people really want to be lazy and have like mediocre filigree, you can always use AI. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I mean, I guess it works. I'm more so here for my own personal skill, my own personal enjoyment of art, and yeah, understanding scroll and filigrees. It can take a while, so just be patient. Keep on doodling, keep on drawing. Man, I've got to grind a lot more. It takes a while. We're almost there, guys. All right, then we've just got to drill that hole a little bit further so that point can lock in essentially. If I can find my key that I just had. Joe Stone, that's leather. It could be copper, but leather doesn't mar anything, and it helps grip stuff in pretty good because it kind of form fits. I found copper can deform over time. Talking about gold, have you guys seen the price of gold now? Whew. I'm about to go start panning the river. We had a little bit of an oopsie. We can still fix it, but this is cracked right here. I knew it was probably coming, but we'll. I've got a little way to probably fix it just fine. So hopefully I can. If not, we're gonna have to restart. All right, I feel pretty good about that, especially to be able to work with gold with it. So I think we're good there. Just so no, I haven't. That's actually wild. That'd be pretty cool though. I mean, I could see it working for sure. All right, we've got to fix our whoopsie. It's cracked right there. CA glue will be the saving grace today. CA glue and some popsicle sticks. That's what we're going to use. So just your normal, some CA glue, and popsicle sticks. All right. The only reason I'm going kind of heavy with the CA glue on here is because when it gets cast out, I don't want any of the casting material to accidentally go into that crack and crevice. I would rather deal with having to take off material than trying to figure out how to spot weld a piece of gold in there. This is that thick resin, or thick CA glue. It's almost like epoxy, honestly. Because I can always hand drill everything out, get everything set nice. There we go. Pretty happy with that. I think that'll be fine. We can always file it away once we have the gold in there. Got to let it kind of set and settle, obviously. I am... Give me a second, guys. I've got to go grab my hardener. Right, got a little bit of hardener. And then we are making the jewelry. In fact, we're making an ode piece to the wife. So, trying to get this down. We'll see. All right, let me make sure that the CA glue actually hardened. Sure looks like it. There's a little bit of soft portion right there, but we can just spray it a little bit more to this accelerator. Running out. Oh, I really should have probably put this on my Christmas list. All right. Okay. That looks like it is taken care of. And then once we have the gold and actual gold, we'll file it out, make sure everything is nice and pretty. Not really. So over the hills, CA glue is still a type of epoxy, or I guess polymer. Polymer will always burn out. It might take higher heat, so I might have to heat it up a lot more, let it burn out a lot longer. But with that being said, if the carbon, like a carbon molecule or carbon, I guess a carbon residue is left behind, usually you have to worry more so in like really, really tiny crevices that don't burn out. Where it's one of the main portions, it's likely to burn out just fine. Now I'm just gonna find my casting stuff. What happens when you I didn't clean my last cast, and I have to clean it out. All right, really what we've got to do now is just set this in place. Sorry, one of the things that's bothering me that I've got to fix right now All right. I feel good about where we're at with our initial cast. So let's get to setting it. The cast material. Get my lighter to actually work. So now the only other thing is sometimes I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached to me. I just had the bottom portion of this stupid thing in my hand. Might be going crazy here. This. I'm gonna blow this off real fast. Just had it in my hands. Still can't find that piece that I'm looking for. What's crazy is I have all the other pieces right here, except for that one that I just had in my hand. Lose my mind. That's it. Losing my head if it wasn't on me. Okay. All right. Let's put that to the side. While that's setting, guys, I'm grabbing my my casting powder. Don't mind my plating wires over here. Sorry, guys, had to go grab myself some nutrition. Okay, we've got that. I've got to grab the vacuum. Vacuum is ready. I don't know what that is. You guys have you guys ever seen Arachnophobia? Where the cop is grabbing some like cereal. There's a dead spider in there. That was a dead spider. Got a bunch of dead bugs in my stuff. Now this is quick setting, so some people like to use plaster of Paris, but plaster of Paris isn't quite good enough for it, I don't think. For jewelry stuff, generic stuff, sure. All right, that's good. That's good consistency to me. Oh, that's nice. That's not plugged in. All right. I usually try to pour over it as I go to make sure that every little bit, it doesn't catch any air. Okay, guys, we are pretty much done for today on this portion. I'm going to come back on live here shortly. If you guys want to tune back in, we're going to be doing some hand engraving on a Colt 1911 slide. Other than that, this I'm just going to let do its thing. And then hopefully tonight we can start the burnout process. And first thing in the morning at 4 a.m., guess what? We are casting this sucker. We're using a vacuum to cast it and going from there. So thanks again, guys. Tio Lalo, out. Peace.